All right, going to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. Would everybody stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Sharman, don't forget to mute yourself. I don't think we have any changes to the agenda. We don't look like, so we're good there. You want to get started with the accolades, or do you want?
Yeah, we can, and Mr. Ewing can come forward too.
Yeah,
We've got a
use that type of day.
Okay, so first part of our accolades, our superintendent awards. I always like to brag that each teacher who gives out a superintendent award only gets one for the year. So they have to make it count. They have to pick that one student who they think is the right person to give the highest award or get from them for the year. So we've got several. Mr. Watson. And we will start with Mrs. Viegas's choice for superintendent award, shoe belts. Let's see what come on up here. Stand up here, Mrs. Viegas, and she can read the letter pouch.
This is a letter I sent to your parents. It is my pleasure to write a letter about Lacey, why Lacey, I need to never see you. So we can be in this together, okay?
So good.
It is my pleasure to write this letter about why Lacey is deserving recipient of the Reedport School District Superintendent's Award for the month of February 2023. I have had the great pleasure of getting to know Lacey since the beginning of her third grade year. I remember the first days of school, Lacey was very shy and timid, but that did not last very long. Since the beginning of the year, Lacey has blossomed into a positive role model in our class. She has a sweet yet strong way of standing up for what is right for both herself and her classmates. Lacey has a very strong moral compass, and I would like to thank her parents for leading her. Lacey is outstanding, and that does not come easy for her. It is with lots of hard work and perseverance that she is successful. Lacey also loves to share her knowledge and is always willing to help others when she can. One of Lacey's favorite things to do is go to our kindergarten buddies classroom and read books with them and do art projects. She has had a great bond with her buddies and likes to greet them when passing in the hallway with a hug or a high five. She also likes to go help whenever the teacher needs someone to clean up, set up, or someone just needs a little extra support. Lacey has an incredible amount of potential and is going to do great things. I am excited to watch Lacey grow in the years to come. Congratulations and keep up the good work.
Wow. We got a few more. Mr. Molly has brought Bill Ingram. All
right. To the parents of Bo Ingram. It has been a joy having Bo in my class this year. She always comes to class with a positive attitude and is willing to try even when she's not sure she can do it.
Yes, she can.
Exactly. Bo is never a disruption in class, and she can always be found in her seat, waiting patiently for the next instruction. I can always count on Bo to be willing to share with the class, even if she doesn't raise her hand. Thank you. I am very happy to have her and the positive example she sets for the other students in class. Bo does an excellent job of communicating her needs to me. Whenever she is confused or doesn't understand the math or writing, she is asking questions of me or of her shoulder partner. Bo is very good at going through all the steps and showing her work, as I have told her. This makes it very easy to go over any mistakes with her and correct them on the spot. Bo is a very bright personality and treats everyone with kindness. In class, that occasionally becomes overwhelmed with drama, Bo has been very able to stay above it. She is quite funny and often has a joke for her friends or myself that usually gets a laugh. Bo is a great friend and shows a strong sense of self. This combined with her hardworking attitude, Bo has demonstrated an excellent classroom leadership skills as well as taking her schoolwork very seriously. She works hard as any student. She works as hard as a friend, and she is a great member of our classroom community. I am happy to give Bo this award. Thank you for raising such a great daughter.
Moving over to the high school, Miles Morgan's teacher is Mr. Brian Watts. We'll give him just a moment. Pause opportunity here.
I brought my own papers, so I thought I made the font big enough, but I didn't. Awesome. So I'm good. Yeah. So to the parents of Miles Morgan. Now, it is with honor I present to you my Superintendent's Award winner for the academic year 22-23. Mr. Morgan Miles, over the course of the last few years, I've had the pleasure of getting to know him in the classroom, on the field, and within the community. This past semester, he's shown his courage, knowledge, integrity, and leadership in all environments. Miles is in our leadership class where we challenge their imagination, their character, ethics, and leadership skills daily. The Morgan family is a vibrant part of our community, and I want to thank you for raising a young man of character and kindness. There is no doubt we are faced with difficult times, but you'd be hard-pressed to find Miles not smiling or encouraging his classmates or teammates to keep working hard and doing the right thing. There isn't a day that goes by when I'm not approached by Miles or his brothers who greet me with a handshake and say, "How are you, Coach Watts?" Miles continues to lead and motivate by example, and as a teacher and coach myself, you can't ask for anything more. He consistently asks, "What can I do to help?" Miles is the first one to raise his hand when we need volunteers for anything happening within the school or the community. Most of you have seen his recent presentation here in December at the school board meeting regarding the mascot change. He and Alex Dukovich spent many hours working together to make sure their presentation was well delivered with clarity so the school board could move forward. He has spoken up for others in situations that matter on and off the field and continues to choose the harder right in times where it would be simple to choose the easier wrong. The pressures our students are faced with are enormous, but Miles puts others first, makes his classmates and his teammates a priority. In our leadership class, we work on awareness of others so we can serve others and become positive role models for our youth, our community, and beyond. Miles understands the importance of education combined with building the skills to form strong relationships for his future success. The highest form of a compliment is when you can depend on someone showing up on time, fulfilling the requirements of the mission. It has been an honor and pleasure to have Miles in my leadership class because whether he's aware of it or not, the students are watching him shift the culture within our school because of his positivity and willingness to do what's right. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our last superintendent award winner, Mrs. Copley brings Teal One.
To the parents of Sativa Warford. Here. It is my great pleasure to nominate senior Sativa Warford as the winner of the Superintendent's Award for the month of February. I have had the great pleasure of knowing Sativa since the 7th grade. It has been wonderful to get to know Sativa as an emerging young adult, but also as an exceptionally talented and flourishing artist. Sativa is one of several students who will receive dual credit for basic designs through Southwestern Oregon Community College. And it is clear to see that Sativa, whatever she chooses to pursue in life, will excel, utilizing her imagination and determination to improve, to try new things, to work hard, and courageously to be great at them. Sativa is an incredible art student, not only in her skill, but in her imagination, planning, and execution. Sativa continuously challenges herself in all areas of art, whether we are writing about art history or drawing and painting. Her daily notebooks show the depth of creativity, imagination, and her passion for all things art. Sativa is entering framed pages from her personal art journal into the Coos Art Museum show Visions. They are absolutely stunning and very personal pieces of art. Sativa holds natural talent and artistic skills, but also holds the life and learning skills to achieve what she sets her mind to. Sativa is an excellent role model in all of her classes. She models maturity, kindness, and responsibility. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Sativa in her final year of high school and beyond in her journey as an artist and an outstanding human in all.
So we'll do a picture here in a minute. I always like to summarize what I hear the theme. We heard kindness repeatedly. We heard that they're good to their classmates, their peers, and just hard work all around. Great representation of what a Reed Sports student looks like, and very happy with all 4 award winners. And thank you, teachers, for the work they do, and the parents for the job that you do at home. This is what's going to make us great right here. So, if the 4 students will come back up with their teachers, and we'll get that group photo real quick. One more time. Slide on over this way.
Sort of.
Just stand there, you won't bite.
Corbett, Ryan, slide on over here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Sorry.
Then Lucy and Bo and everything.
John.
Yeah,
Tripping your back.
you're sure he's gonna give those back?
I don't want to look at.
Okay, are we ready? Everybody ready?
Ready.
Okay, we're gonna take a few pictures, make sure everybody's smiling and we're looking and we're smiling. Good job.
Which camera to look at, right? Thank you, everybody.
I should have known.
I wouldn't leave you. I wouldn't leave you stranded. I had to go one time. Mine was broke in high school. You're a kicker.
Students down in the arm.
No idea. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And the whole season.
Please let me get ahead again.
I need to know.
We got a class,
Like,
class 3.
yeah, I was- Okay, yeah.
Congratulations.
People.
That's awesome.
Gonna hang me if I drop that tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's.
Think. Sometimes it's the
Yeah.
only thing that only thing holds you there. Because I was gonna go. I couldn't. I was just gonna.
I guess it's better.
No, I was-
All right, we're gonna be moving on. Donations, Sherry Austin donated $400 in men's shoes to Abby's Closet at the junior, senior high school.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you very much for that. That's awesome. Cafe 990 West donated $25 for prizes for the class, senior class fundraiser.
Nice.
Bay Appliance and TV donated $583 to purchase team sweatshirts for the varsity 8th grade boys. Wow, very cool. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Very cool. Reports. Miss O'Brien.
Oh, I get to go first.
Yeah, you're up first.
How did that happen? Okay, I want to start, what? Oh, it's typo, okay. Sure, we can hear that, just so you know for next time. I want to start by thanking Mrs. Wall. She's been working super hard in our building to help get our fitness room set up for the elementary. And so there's a space. We have almost a half classroom of mats and exercise balls and some weights and flexi bands, things where people can go in and just do a little de-stressing midday if they want a lunch break, or just to take a break. So she worked hard at that grant, and I appreciate her taking the time over the weekend, coming through, setting things up, and having a space for people to have it dedicated. So I appreciate her time and effort. Like to give an update on archery. Mr. Hamner is still moving and grooving with all of his 3rd through 6th grade kiddos. He actually requested to add a 3rd session because he's really wanting to get some kids prepared for competition. So he's added a Wednesday slot for the 4th through 6th grade students, mostly kids who want to continue competing. So he took 13 kiddos over to Medford 2 weeks ago, the 28th of January. And they had a blast. They did great. A couple kids were supposed to go but got sick. He's already gearing up to take another group to a tournament in Albany on March 4th. And he's very excited. So he had to get so many shots in this week to make sure that his paperwork and deadline stuff were in kind of on time to do that. So seems like the kids are having a great time in there. He's very motivated to continue. So I'm just happy that we have something that's serving almost 55-ish kids, I think was the last count, between Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday's mostly repeat, but we have 5 new kids. So a lot of kids from our building are doing this. So it's a great thing. I do have some information to share. Our librarian, so Miss Cooper, kind of moved into that position in library in October when Miss Story retired. She has decided she's missing the instruction. Desperately wants to be back in her group work with kids. Loves reading, loves the library, loves the activity she's doing, but misses that instructional piece. And so this is kind of a double-edged sword because she did a lot of great work in our title program with Miss Knoll. And so we just posted for internally to try and find someone to serve that role. Haven't made any decisions yet. It's going to be internal. We don't have any candidates and or a plan that can move forward with that. We'll post externally. And then after that, depending on where that takes us, our leadership team met today to kind of talk about what happens if we have someone who's maybe more library focused versus more tech or media focused. How do we want to do this? And so teachers are kind of talking about their plans, getting it back to their leadership committee, and we'll probably have a good idea by next board meeting what's going on. Ms. Knoll is very excited because she will probably be serving a lot of those intervention groups back in that role that she just kind of desperately misses. So good for our title program. Unfortunate for how our library time is working out. A good addition that I think you guys are going to be approving here pretty soon is an integration of a halftime music teacher. Jennifer Januszewski is going to be hopefully hired as halftime. She is ready to bring music back to all of our kiddos. We have her space set up. She's going to meet the students tomorrow and start with kids next Tuesday on Valentine's Day. So students will be getting 1 session of music per week, and she'll be in the building 2 days a week. Let's see. And then as promised last month, we were getting ready to do our benchmarking. So 3 times a year, we go through and we pull all of our students and we do reading and math max testing. So in front of you, you have a bit of information, and I encourage you to email me or call me and we can sit down and talk about this, because this is giving you a lot of information kind of flooding at you. But big picture, when you look at this chart, this is our achievement score for the fall of just in reading. So what this means is when there's an achievement expectation, it says, if I test a 3rd grader, they should be at this particular standard when they come in. That, and if they hit that mark, then they're achieving at what's expected at that level. We're going to talk a little bit about growth in just a minute. So the achievement. So if we look at our scores from K through 6 here, anything in the blue, green, yellow, and even some of the orange. The orange is more of an intervention level, like we would pull kids. So our orange is the 21st to 40th percentile. And so we serve for intervention groups. We serve about up to the 30th percentile when we take out our special education services, because they're getting their individual plans anyway. So for kids falling in the blue, green, yellow, and a little bit in the orange is really kind of where they want them. More of the orange and red is where we're saying, ooh, something's got to change here. This is not great here. So at an achievement level, you can see where our kids started. This is where when we tested kids in the fall, this is where they came in. Reading for winter, now they're expected to grow to a different target for winter time, and this is the winter reading achievement. So kids are expected to show growth, but they're also expected to achieve at a higher level. So the goal is to see more blue, more green, more yellow, and even more orange than red, if that makes sense. We want to eliminate as many of the red as possible, as much of the red as possible. Each grade level or percentage is about, each kiddo is about 2%, the way that it shakes out with numbers in there. And so if you figure in the number of kids, or the kids who maybe are well below grade level to begin with. So having about 55, 60 kids on IEPs in the classroom make up a total of 120% of this red population. I know this is a ton of information. It's maybe more than you want. So we look at achievement and we know that where we're not hitting the mark and where we are hitting the mark. More importantly for teachers, we want to see what the growth looks like. So if we get a kiddo that comes in and let's say they're maybe in the red zone, our focus is how do we get them out of the red? We want them into the orange. We know they're not going to jump straight to the blue, right? And so our actually, let me wait to the growth one. So the next one is the math. So this is the same achievement for reading and math. So then math from fall, and then winter math. So fall math, winter math are on those next pages. So you can just see where kids came in and then where they ended in winter. Now the growth is on the very, very last page, this table here. So when a kiddo comes in below benchmark, there's what's called a projected growth target. So we know that if the kiddo comes in down here and they're supposed to be up here for fall, they're not going to probably be up here for winter. They're probably going to come up to about here and have this trajectory showing that they're actually meeting what their growth would be. If a kiddo's one whole grade level behind, we want them to at least show one grade level in that year or more if we can. It's not going to be likely to get them above a year. I mean, it can happen, but it's usually not that. It's usually not that easy. On the last page when it shows the growth, this one is really more where teachers look to see what can I do differently, what can I do with my groups, how do we like manage and design our intervention groups and programs to serve the kids who are not showing as much growth, and changing what interventions we're using, changing what programs we're using, maybe the size of the groups, or if kids aren't meeting that, they go on to a different intervention to be able to get to those achievement targets. So in the top table, we have all of the kids who met their on track expected growth. It may not match this achievement because they they may start down in this red and they may end in winter in the yellow. And that is exactly what their expected growth is supposed to be, because their expected growth throughout the year. There's a fall expectation, a winter expectation, and then an end of year spring expectation. So the top one shows the on track percentages for kinder, for the reading, and for math. The table below that shows just anyone who showed any growth from fall to winter. That's just any growth. Did you make positive steps toward where your target is, even if it's not that projected piece? We want that projected piece. That's really what we want. And ultimately, we want the achievement piece. We know that there's a lot of areas that we need supports in, and this helps us design where our our resources interventions go and how much we can budget for each kind of grade level. Certain grade levels have higher numbers of special education students, which are maybe more represented in some of the tables in the achievement. And you won't see as much change from those numbers because typically when kids have learning disabilities, they don't grow as fast and as quickly. We're just trying to continue to close that gap, but just keep on keeping on. And I wanted to say one more thing. Miss Knoll has been amazing when we have to cancel groups. So this year, because of staffing, when we do not have our certified teachers, what we do is we pull from our emergency license groups and we end up canceling programs. And so this year, I think we probably canceled we've been in school now 75 days. We probably had to cancel about 25 of those days because we don't have enough staff. So we know where the interventions have to happen, and it's a matter of keeping them. So like we had to cancel, we're canceling tomorrow. We won't have our intervention groups. And so we know what our groups need, but sometimes they don't get them. And so right now, about a third of the time, they're not getting those interventions. And that's unfortunate. We just are doing what we can do with what we have. So again, this is a lot of information. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with anyone about. I look at this all the time, so it's a little bit easier for me to kind of look at it with the eye that I look at it. So if you have questions now that I can answer, I'd be more than happy to. If not, I would totally recommend email or a phone call or sit down and meeting to talk about this.
So the regular interventions like we used to have have been kind of out the window this year because of staffing issues.
Yeah, I mean, like probably at least a quarter of the time. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Is that sick call or we just seeing a lot of
everything.
illness? Or-
It's sick. It's sick. It's personal. It's bereavement. It's and then when we try to get subs, then maybe those subs aren't trained in those programs that we use, and so we can't just say, "Hey, Mr. Ewing, come teach an ECRI group," and you need to know all of your sound spelling cards to be able to do that effectively to teach the kids. You'd be like, "Excuse me, what? I'm not doing that." So then we can't have that. Then we can't have that person doing that role, and so we try not to do that. We clearly cannot cancel our SPED groups. Those are required. We need to get those minutes in for our special education students. And because we're serving such a big chunk, we try not to cancel all of them, but many of the times because of the way that our schedule is, the same 3 or 4 people do a lot of those groups. And so if 2 of those people are out, then we can't do that. Another change was Miss Daly moving into our 2nd grade, which is also on the approval piece. She was also in that area with all that training, and now we've trained a new person kind of filling in for her role. So there was a little bit of a gap in that one also. But we've met with all grade levels. So our special education teacher, dean of students, instructional coach, and Miss Knoll and I meet with all grade levels. We review all of the kiddos' interventions, change them as needed. And so they're aware of all this information and kind of know where they need to maybe focus more of their attentions, depending on the classroom, depending on the grade level, depending on the instructional support staff who are serving those groups too.
Do you still do the DIBELS testing and the STAR testing? And
Well, this is in place, this MAPS is in place of STAR.
oh, it is.
So we don't do STAR anymore. We do have DIBELS data. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Is you mentioned 2%. Is that kind of normal for your growth?
Not for growth, about 2% equals 1 student. So like if we look at the difference from reading in the fall for, let's say kindergarten. So reading in the fall for kindergarten in the green was, it was at 34%. So, you could say about 16, so that represents 16, 17 kids. So if the percentage goes down from fall to winter, like in this one, it went down 3%, which it means it went one student moved down into
Or
the
up.
yellow or up. They moved up or down. They moved out of that category. And this data is not a constant group. So from September until now, we have tested but then lost 27 students and then tested and moved in 35. So it's not necessarily comparative exactly from fall to winter. If that makes sense.
The transience of the
Yeah.
community has a huge impact on
Yeah.
our testing.
Yeah.
I want to say that again.
The mobility in our
The
community.
mobility, right.
Yeah.
Transient, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
but yes.
Yes.
Mobility in our community is
Yes.
huge.
So 60-ish, the 20, 65-ish scores can't necessarily be compared together.
No.
And I mean, I could dig in and find out where they scored, but I mean, I don't know if that's necessary, but like whether they were low and then left and scored somewhere else differently, or came in high and then left, and I'm not sure where it would impact the scores, but we just can't compare it exactly. That's all.
Is there any way to correlate the scores for the students, like track those students longitudinally as they move from one district to another?
The district would have to be using the same program probably.
MAPS isn't a universal program for Oregon
No,
necessarily. Okay.
It's used in a lot of places, but
Right,
if
it's not.
places, it's not a guarantee.
it is, I mean, it's nationally normed, which is good. I mean, another thing that I keep in the back of my brain, which the people with the department say that it shouldn't impact it. The standard for these scores are done every 5 years. So they'll say, here's a batch of expectations. This is where kids should be, within these 5 years. So this set of standards saying third grade needs to be right here came from the 2017, 18, 19, 20, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 school year. So everything pre-COVID, they say, here's the benchmark, here's the expectation. None of these expectations are post-COVID. They say it's kind of, because it's nationally normed, everyone's score should kind of filter out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I buy into all of that.
Interesting. Thank you for putting all of that
Yeah,
data
yeah.
together.
Thank you, Amanda.
Do you have any other questions?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that all?
And then,
All right, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Moving on, Mr. Euling.
Good evening. I'd like to echo Amanda's comments about Sherry Walsh. She did a great job with the grant, and I think she just now finished up. I think everybody got a gratitude journal, something to write in and remind you of why things are great when they aren't great, so you can look into that. And so that kind of ended the grant, and I thought she did a great job with it. And a lot of good stuff for the staff to have.
Jerry, was that a heart grant? Years ago, we did a heart grant for the district and it was similar to that.
I think this was from the state, so
State.
I'm not sure.
I think it's through OEA.
OEA wellness, yeah.
Okay.
Senator McDuffie planned an Aspire Week a couple weeks ago, to get kids kind of interested in education and back kind of on that era. We haven't had a really good Aspire person in a while because I was doing it. So glad that she picked it up and has moved the ball down the line there pretty well for us. She had a night where they had two separate different presentations. I think it was 8th through 10th grade got a presentation, a little bit about scholarships, a little bit about upper level classes that kids should take if they're thinking about going to college or going to a trade school, what kind of things they might look at to be able to take, because, some kids just look at one going to trade school, I'm going this, I really don't need to do this. Well,
Right.
you'll need some math, you need some stuff that you need to get into to be able to, be successful in the trade market too. And then 11 of the 12th graders mainly had another presentation put on by SWAC that was about college and getting your paperwork in and getting ready for applications and those types of things for colleges. And I thought that was very successful. We served world famous chili and cinnamon rolls made by Laura Sculio. And so it was pretty well attended. I think a lot of good information was given out. And kids had different dress up days, and she had prizes for kids that had won during the dress up days. And so that was pretty good. On Wednesday of that same week, Kelly Luck, our counselor, had SWAT come in again and sit down with the seniors and go over scholarship information so that they can start working on that. It's that time of year. Project Graduation is putting on a dodgeball competition on February 15th, 6:30. They're also having their cake raffle this Friday night at the senior night basketball games. Last week was IRRE week, which we have Anissa Collins coming in. She comes in 4 times a year. This was her 3rd visit. And PD on Friday was just to go over the strategies again that they've had throughout the year and really look into them and which ones are utilizing, and then take their next unit plans and start, really implementing some of those other ones that they haven't used. And that is to get kids engaged in the lessons. So a lot of engagement strategies that they're currently working on. We will have our 2nd round of match testing next week. And that will be our winter. So in March, I'll probably have numbers, and then she can explain what those numbers mean to you. Kelly Luck has also invited speakers to come to on Wednesdays for our advisory days. We had our very own Eric Brandon as our guest speaker, came in and talked about his business and interest kids might have in going into construction and road building and those types of things. Today we had Central Lincoln PUD come in about lineman school and the lineman people do and those types of things. So we're looking at probably getting somebody from the hospital to come and talk about just all the different careers. I mean, you think hospital, doctors, nurses. Well, there's a lot of things that go on hospital. So to come and have somebody from the hospital represent and give them the lay of the land. And I can't remember who the other one that she was trying to get to come in and speak as well.
Military.
You might know.
I think it was military.
Yeah, she'll have military there too, but there was one other one. I think she was met with you. Maybe not.
Oh, yeah, the X-ray technician.
Yeah.
Type forms.
So just different people to give career options and different things that kids can look at and find out from the people with the boots on the ground that do the work. Larry Davis is rocking our gym. He is our band guy. And we've had a very small but mighty pep band, had horns playing, and people were excited. They had, I think, up to 3 songs that they've learned in a short amount of time. I told them if they played it backwards, he'd have 6 songs. But it's really exciting to hear. It's the first time since I've been here that we've had a band playing in a gym, and so that was really, really awesome. And Mr. Watts and his leadership class put on a great night for teachers and staff appreciation. And basketball game was a great big thanks to Mr. Watts and his class. I think it was well attended. Staff had a lot of fun. Great games and stuff were being played, so it was really nice to have that. Tomorrow we're doing our winter pep assembly for our winter sports teams. I have started to also do some instructional coaching with our staff. We're using the Get Better Faster teaching techniques to improve instruction. So I'm in the classrooms more utilizing some strategies to help them hopefully give better instruction and be able to give better feedback to students in a more equitable fashion, so it's faster and we're not waiting weeks to give information back and then build on the data that we get from the instruction to drive our instruction. Mrs. Smith, our English teacher, had some students in junior high participate in the Florence Elks Lodge Americanism essay, and we had some people that placed. For the 7th grade, second place went to Hunter Stimmerman, and third place went to Tristan Lyon, and honorable mention was Emily Corcoran. And then in the 8th grade, first place, Joby Felsheim, and second place, Chloe Thurman, and third place, Brooklyn Chudy, and honorable mention was Alexander Billings.
Nice.
So a lot of good things happening there, and
That's great right here.
Good.
They got any questions? Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Euling. Mr. Watts. You're
Is
up.
it okay if I stay here or?
Yeah, you know, you're
Okay.
fine. You're
Yeah,
fine.
stay there. That way I won't fall. I just want to echo with what Mr. Gilling was saying about the leadership class. So it was fairly short notice for them, but they took the whole teacher and staff appreciation night and just embraced it. And I can't say enough about them, but I also want to make sure that everybody knows when I was strolling around town, the goal was to go with the whole class, leadership class, and teach them how to represent themselves and ask for a donation. There's a certain way of doing that. Well, unfortunately, it was right in the middle of the transition between the semesters. So I realized Sunday night that, I'm gonna have new students that aren't gonna be able to go on the field trip, and I learned pretty early on that I can't have some of my leadership class over here and I'm over here, right? So I learned that fairly quickly. And so I went around and everybody that I addressed, they were more than happy to support that evening. And so that's one of the reasons why the leadership class and they made it happen, and it was awesome. So it'll be bigger and better next year. We're looking forward to that. The other thing too is that we're going to start volunteering once a week during our leadership class. It's going to be serving our schools. So there's a lot of small projects that need to happen. And so we're going to identify those, and once a week, we'll spend 45 minutes to an hour doing those tasks, whether it's helping teachers do things, groundwork, just making the schools a little bit, try to do whatever we can to continue bringing that pride back to the schools. So that's been fun. And then we're ramping up for our next trip to U of O and Bushnell University. And I'm going to open it up to everybody that is in good standing in school. And I'll need some volunteers, of course, to go with us. But these kids need to get out and see what college is all about. Our last trip, we went to Oregon State. We had one individual who it changed his life, and now he's all aboard. And I've already seen a change in him and how he's handling himself within, and it's really, really awesome. So lighting the fire, that's what we're trying to do. So other than that, I don't know if John's going to talk about Eastworks.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You're
I'll
welcome.
let
I
you
can
do
run
that.
when I get there.
Yeah. Other than that, we're just gonna continue to serve. That's our mission, and continue to learn about how to serve. And there's a lot of things that we can be doing as students and teachers, staff, to help each other. So
Will any of these students get any community service credits for that type of work?
they will. And I can't guarantee it on everything that we do,
Mhm.
but we're looking at trying to, and this is more me, I feel like the school is our community. And I feel like, hey, if they're putting work in within the school and helping other people, the staff, the teachers and so forth, I would love to see, some of that be rewarded. That's not the purpose of it, but it's also, I think, that mentality of when you do serve, if they have a choice of where they're getting their community service hours, and we open that up a little bit more, kids are gonna be more excited about doing the service, if it's something they're passionate about, versus saying, hey, you got 48 hours, you gotta do it,
Well, I think we're kind of limited in our community for opportunities for the kids to get those community service hours in anymore.
that's correct. With COVID, a lot of people don't want
Yeah.
random people coming in and being around it.
Right.
And we realize that. So we're hoping that we can open up some more doors for the students to
Good.
be
Good to
able to
hear.
start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Watts. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you've been doing. And if you can change one person, one student, get them motivated, it's worth all the trouble.
Absolutely.
That's why I go talk all the time. If I get one just to change their mind or get them inspired, it's worth it. We don't, do we have a certified?
Certified, I think,
Yeah.
Julie Knoll.
Ms. Noel, you there?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I have a lot to share tonight.
Oh, boy.
So here we go. Mrs. Colton wanted to share that she has students in high school art have work on display from February 10th to April 2nd at the Coots Art Museum. 7 students have 10 pieces in the annual art competition. Manila Gunn, Julia, I'm going to try to not butcher these names. Julia Land, Stativa Warford, Callahan Church, Nolly Swift, Hannah Neves, and Leilani Baker. Mrs. Lee wanted me to share that the swim team goes to district on Friday and Saturday in Cottage Grove. They're competing against 11 other teams, 1A through 4A. At least 6 of the students are ranked top 10 in their individual events, and both boys and girls relays are ranked top 10. She's also working on the muscle and skeletal anatomy. Went better than last year, she wanted to share. In 7th through 12th grade PE, she's working on, her students are learning about time management and playing table tennis. There will be tournaments within the classes on Thursday. We were able to have a better unit of table tennis this year thanks to acquiring some more tables at the end of the school year from Highland and ones that were hidden away in various rooms throughout the district. I'm glad those are being used. They haven't been used for a long time. Highland took all the kinder through 4th grade students to the folk music festival in Florence. The kindergartners loved it. Mrs. Dean wanted to share that. And the Highland kids did an amazing job. It was a lot of fun. The kids enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun to be able to take the kids. I was able to go, and the kids just were amazing. Mrs. Villegas and her class are performing a reader's theater for their kindergarten book buddies called Two Bear Cubs. And then the kindergarten class will be reading the story, What is Science, to their buddy class. Mr. Smart, shop class, industrial arts, started a pilot program on jewelry making. It went over better than expected and supplies went quickly. He has more on order and will resume the experience as soon as the order arrives. I found that students that were not engaged prior became involved and joined in. I counted this as a win, and I hope I have many more as we work on the program. And then Mr. Shaw's, one of his computer classes, and I didn't write down which one, they're working on programming self-driving cars and are going to race some this week. He sent a video, but I wasn't sure how to present it because I'm not sure I could. So maybe at the next board meeting, if I can figure it out, maybe he can share that. So lots been going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
More for today.
All good stuff.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
She has to get back to her grandbaby now.
I know she does. I saw her last night.
I was gonna pass my phone around, but the last 2 times I've talked about the donors, about the PE gear and everything else for the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, all the PE classes. And so it came in, we got it distributed to a few of the first classes. And then I gotta order some more
Nice.
right now, but it's really cool. So
That is cool.
yeah, I'll post something on Facebook and share it with everybody.
Thank you.
Do we have a classified? I don't think.
I have a note that we do not have a classified rep tonight.
Okay. Tech report, Mr. Tipton.
Guess that's me. Well, got lots of tickets, lots of requests, trying to prioritize and triage those to keep all of our people up and running as best as possible. And to that end, Al Campbell has been a very valuable asset as of late, helping me out in that area. All of our new staff and role changes and separated staff, whatever, just means, work on account creation, modification, et cetera, et cetera. So it's sort of never ending, as you know. In terms of projects, we recently completed a bandwidth upgrade, which should essentially give us a faster internet connection. We use Douglas Fastnet currently as our internet service provider. So with our new equipment, and this project's been going on for a while, but we should be up to 10 gig that comes into the DO and is shunted to the campuses. So absent power outages or major internet problems, whatever, our end should be good through the ESD. And then the other major thing you probably need to be thinking about is the Synergy Sys. We're gonna transition from Tyler to Synergy July of, not this year, but next year. So that's going to be pretty big project for us to get it up and running, get all of our data out, and get all of our people trained, et cetera, et cetera. So
What is that?
it's our student information system. So essentially, the program that we run, we track all of our student information, contact information. Good Lord, we do medical stuff, fees, what devices he has checked out, grades. We do, it's all kinds of stuff, if it's done right. Yeah, so.
Is switching to the newer program going to be more efficient than
The
either
old
is?
one's going away.
Yeah, it wasn't really our choice since this is fairly new for us.
Okay.
Long story short, we had Schoolmaster, which kind of went away. We had Olma for a minute. It was pretty much universally hated. We went to Tyler, which is not terrible. And then Tyler was acquired by Infinite Campus or Infinite Solutions. And they said, yeah, that's not really the direction we're going. We're kind of moving on to a separate product. All that being said, what's the word you like to use? Consortium. We have a group of school districts through South Coast ESD who are going to, and Synergy is the most popular right now, most popular SIS in Oregon.
Is it friendly?
I can't say for sure. I'm sure I will say this. When it was announced at a recent training for teachers, we had teachers actually cheer because they're familiar. Where were they? Portland district or somewhere? Yeah, somewhere they've used Synergy. They love it. Say it, does everything better than Tyler. And the more people I've talked to, they're getting less and less support for Tyler, which is not great for us.
Right.
But given the timing of everything, I think it's going to be good. Just a lot of modules, a lot of customization, but you don't want to start necessarily with all that right off the bat. You kind of want to use it, define your needs, see what is met and what isn't, and then there are pieces and parts you can add if it's, we'll get to all that. So I don't want to bog down in the details, but
Yeah.
there's a lot to it. It affects almost every area of our business in terms of, you know, student tracking, you know, it's everything we do pretty much. So
The state of Oregon and Synergy have a contract that they're the preferred provider, so we make a rate. 2 districts in the South Coast use Synergy now. 6 of us have to change. So out of
You
10,
might go to the door.
so six of us have to change away from Tyler. And as Soups, we decided the ESD's ability to be a central hub to help us all 10. So the 6 of us who have to switch are going to go to Synergy. The 2 who have a third product will be moving towards Synergy within a couple of years, so that the entire South Coast is consistent. There are other districts, ESDs in Oregon, where everybody's using it as well. About half the state's on it right now. And so that's the trending direction.
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Please let me know if you have any follow-up, any questions, or want clarification on anything else.
And I'll just add to that, that 10 years ago, there was a big push across the state to convert to Synergy, and it was really brand new, and the state did not do a good job then of supporting districts in the move. And so there was actually a tech person, and I don't remember Rick's last name, but he started Cascade Tech Alliance, which became the expert in tech support. And that's who South Coast ESD has hired to be the spearhead of the committee to do research on the student information systems. Very, very well versed in it. All of the school districts in Douglas County have been on Synergy for 10 years. So we have neighbors that are familiar with it, and you know, we have experts on the committee to make sure that we're making the best choice.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. No, I think North Bend was one of the early adopters in our area, so they've been on it several years, and I think the rest of our kind of close partners moving that direction, because we're all forced to, who are Tyler customers, is good for us. So we can learn together, learn from each other's, you know, successes and failures, and communicate. So, yeah, that part doesn't bother me. It's just from here to there, you know, you got to make a plan and get there.
All right, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Tipton. Mr. Shopping.
Hi.
There you are.
Just a few things. So we have the district office sign that we are under construction on. I have Mr. Shaw in his class 3D printing new lettering for the signs. I just touched base with him today, and they're about halfway done on that. As soon as they get those up, we'll get the sign up and completed, and that'll be done. We are coming into the busy time of year for landscaping. We have our first track and field practice on the 28th, I believe it is. So we got a lot of work to do out on the field before they get out there and start practicing. Same thing at Barone Park. The RFRA is going to be coming in there pretty soon and starting to set up fields. Mr. Smart's shop class, they've been helpful with a few small projects. We've had some plexiglass that needed put in some windows that have gotten broken. They've helped us get those and cut up and installed. They have really cleaned up a lot of the scrap wood that the Highland Elementary office remodel project is generating. That's helped us get rid of it and help them with some supplies. We have our last power outage. It was a good test. We have a new generator that was installed at HES. It fired off and powered up the kitchen just like it should. Nobody had to go attend it. It was all automatic and it works seamlessly. So that was a good thing. Recently at RCCS, we've had some roof leaks over the wrestling room. I had Rayburn Roofing, who had upgraded those vents. They came in, took a look at them, and that last real strong wind we had, it was starting to lift them and tear the tile in. So they came in and took care of that. We got some, major things like the LGS office remodel. It's underway. It's going slow, but it'll get there pretty soon, I think. Doors and things are coming in on the 3rd, so that's a plus. I feel like everything will really kick off after they get the doors and sheetrock up. Then there's major things like our seismic upgrade at the high school. It's going to start this summer. So we're doing a lot of meetings and things like that to prepare for that, which you all voted for the construction company on the 25th, I think it was. So we're all set on all of that. That's really about it for me.
All right. Anybody got any questions?
The Highland Elementary School office, is that on its time frame that they had? Are they going to be able to manage that?
I haven't looked at the exact date. I believe we've got about 40 days or so left. It's pushing it.
Yeah.
Supplies issues are kind of halting the progress. The leak in the floor didn't affect it at all, so thankful for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You both got any? All right. Thank you, Mr. Shopping.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Same old.
So I don't know if Mr. Jones is here, so he can weigh in, but I have included both versions of the expenditure report again, so that you can get used to seeing them and deciding which one you like. There's a big difference in the number of pages with the same information, but the bottom line is that our ending fund balance is currently projected at 16%, which is actually trending upward from the last couple of months. Done some grant claims and some account code changes in payroll, and that makes a difference whenever we're utilizing our grants appropriately. So on a very, very good playing field heading into budget season. So starting budget season, next month I will have the proposed budget calendar for you to review and hopefully adopt, so we can get our budget committee meetings established. And Sharma did remind me that each of you is responsible for a budget committee member. It worked really well last year, so if we can keep on that same trend, that would be great. The governor's budget came in higher than expected. It's
Really?
very unusual to see that happen.
Wow.
She came in at 9.9 billion. We were expecting 9.5 billion, and usually we can negotiate a little bit higher. The goal is 10.3, but the fact that we are at 9.9 to start with is really amazing. So that's exciting news. The corporate activity tax plays a lot into that because it just really hasn't fallen short of the economy shortfalls that they expected over the last biennium. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think our enrollment is in a good place for us to stay steady in the state school fund. So that is exciting for me as we start to see the end of our ESSER funds availability. And when we have for spending, then we have to actually, go back to the general fund and all that. So I'm excited to look at the budget for this year, but I think we're in a strong place and it's better than I had expected 3 months ago. And I think anybody in administration at any of the districts had that same feeling. We just really thought we were going to have to work hard to get funding for this year. And it looks like they're in strong support of it. So yeah, good news.
Yeah. Very good.
Tagging on to the state school fund, there's legislation out there right now. A common trick that the legislature does is they see things like the corporate activity tax as part of the state school fund. And so they don't want to put as much money into the state school fund so they can squirrel it away for other areas. Instead of budgeting the state school fund and letting things like the corporate activity tax add on the way they're intended to. And that was the spirit of that vote. So legislation that says state school fund needing to be the solid number, and then things are in addition to, not augmenting the number. It happened to us just when that ESSER money came out. We really got dropped back in state school fund dollars because of all that federal money, and that has put us behind. We really need to be at a $10.3 billion number at the state level, and any advocacy you hear from me is going to be at that number. 10.5 would be great. QEM, the quality education model, says we need to be just over 11 billion. So 10.3 doesn't even put us to what is necessary to run schools at a quality level. 10.3 is maintenance. So we need that number to be there. 10.5 would be better, but we're all saying 10.3, so the number through the superintendent pipeline is consistent. Nobody is going to be able to do what we're doing this year on a 9.9, so it has to come up. And legislation that says additional dollars need to be addition, not part of that state school fund, is important language. So if you hear those pieces or you advocate things, and you have Boomer's ear reminding him that those pieces are important to us, and the state school fund is got to be rock solid if Oregon's future is going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and our staffing levels need to be maintained or beefed up for certain with the Paid Family Medical Leave Act starting in September, because we already have problems, as Amanda was talking about, with getting staffing and substitutes and having people at work. And now when they have the opportunity to have paid leave without having to have sick leave on the books, then it's going to make it worse. And it's going to be very critical to see what happens next year.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that paid leave?
Sure.
On top of the
Sure. The legislature passed, it's changed. It's not PFML anymore. I can't remember what the new acronym is for it. They had a year and a half to decide to change the acronym. But Paid Family Medical Leave Act is similar to OFLA or FEMLA, federal leave or Oregon leave. In those cases, you're required to use your own leave that you have with your employer, so that you can get paid during that leave.
Mm-hmm.
So now there is a pool basically at the state level, and it is a tax that is paid both by employers and employees of 1% right now. That could change depending on what the pool does. We have actually chosen to go with a private insured plan so that our money stays our money instead of in a large pool at the state level. So essentially, if you have worked for an employer and earned at least $1,000 in any given calendar year, then you are eligible to take paid family medical leave, and it will be paid. It's similar to workers' comp. It's like 67% of your salary. There's a cap on the salary amount, but you will be paid for that entire 12 weeks or whatever the number of weeks for the type of leave.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are not allowed to require them to use their sick leave before that happens, so they can continue to accumulate their sick leave and take this leave every single year paid.
Do they, of course, see, that just comes up every year, then another 12 weeks every year?
Yes, and the other piece of it that is critical is under OFLA and FEMLA currently, if you're out on leave and it's protected, so you could come back to a job, that job or a similar job, whatever. It doesn't have to be that particular one. It could be similar for the employer to preserve that for you. But now it has to be that specific job that they come back to. So you cannot hire somebody in that position during that time period to replace them and then have a different job for them when they come back. That particular job has to be preserved for them.
So you can't hire like a long-term sub?
Yes, you can, but it can only
But
be
not
a
a
sub.
permanent person?
Correct.
Not permanent.
if you think like an employer, the worst case scenario, depending on the type of leave, a person could go 52 straight weeks with these protected leaves, and the employer not have the ability to fill that position. I have to try to string a sub along through that time. The employment department has to manage this pool of money and payments, so we don't have a lot of control, and we're a little fearful of how that's going to be determined. You qualify, you don't. This is a very close replica of the Washington model that immediately blew up. We already can tell that there's not enough money in the pool, and there won't be enough money in the pool for the expected usage. And so the 1% tax is probably going to go up, or the system will just blow up. It is already doomed to fail, and it hasn't even started. People become eligible to use it September 1. We've been paying into this pool since January. And
So what is the
there's a lot of
expectation of the employee as far as, do they have to stay in touch? Do they have to have information from their doctors to continue to
yeah,
extend this 12 weeks?
there's processes, just like OPLA and FEMLA, and Human Resources will help us manage that. The employment department has to verify that this is going to be paid leave or not, so that they have their own criteria. So our HR is going to have to understand that to help people through it. And they don't really have to stick in touch during OPLA FEMLA. We're supposed to leave them alone. And with just an expected date of return. It leaves a lot of questions. It has created some difficult times just here for us. And I imagine a lot of employers around the state deal with similar things. And it's part of our workforce issues in the modern era.
Is this in effect now, or does it start in fall?
It starts in September.
September 1.
September.
Yep. So worst case scenario is that somebody becomes eligible right after September 1st and they take their 12 weeks in our case, then we get into a new calendar year. And so then they can have another 12 weeks under the Paid Family Medical Leave Act. And then sometime else in the same calendar year can take 12 weeks of OPLA FEMLA and use their banked sick leave or personal leave that they have on the books.
And some leaves generate longer periods of allowable time away. So
Yeah.
that's why the worst case scenario is like 52 straight weeks. Looking at it from the employer perspective.
So preservation of workforce, we're having funding to increase our positioning is going to be critical for us to continue
Yeah.
the programs that we're using. So
We have to be an attractive place, and people have to want to come to work.
Wow.
What a mess. I don't think I'm gonna comment on it. Anybody got any questions?
I've asked enough.
It's all the truth, Bonnie.
Just make it a little bit harder around that business.
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Mr. Z.
I want the board to commit to how and when they want to consolidate staff appreciation. I will suggest to you that it be April 4th and 5th, a Tuesday, Wednesday. That way the March classified appreciation and the May teacher appreciation are consolidated into one batch. And the 4th and the 5th, you would probably be in one building one time, the other building the other, or you could split them up and do them all in one day, but you'll be dividing your efforts. And then what do you want to do for staff appreciation? In the past, we made breakfasts, we made lunches, we've delivered, we've cooked in staff rooms, and it probably is a variety of things. I'd encourage some discussion towards the end of your meeting tonight about that, so I'll give you some think time now. The next meeting in March is your last chance before that April 4th and 5th timeline if you choose to go that route. So generating your idea now gives the district office a chance, the administration a chance to put it together so that in March we can talk about actual work. So towards the end of your meeting, perhaps into your discussion.
So April 3rd and 4th, right?
I'd recommend the 4th and 5th, Tuesday,
Oh.
Wednesday. That way we have Monday to go to stores and prep and do whatever needs to happen for a Tuesday start. But again, that's your choice. That would just be suggestion. Along those lines, the three of you are modeling them. We delivered t-shirts to all staff and employees of the district. Annual piece of swag, and we decided to leave something in red. So the long sleeve red, Charmin worked really hard at helping generate the design, and we just wanted them to pop. And I think they look good. People have been appreciative. Thursdays will be red shirt day or whatever the end of the week is. It's a Friday. That's all. Student enrollment report. So we should have some numbers in our reports here. And that's the one piece I didn't look at. We haven't been up or down all year. I mean, really, we have the mobility that we hear about, but for as many leave, we seem to just constantly have as many coming in. In the 5 years I've been here, outside of a high point of 650, we've hung around 610, 620 pretty consistently, which helps us when we're budgeting, because part of our budgeting is determining what enrollment you're going to base your budget on. But we've been steady. Esports. I'm going to ask you to consider an agenda addition and take action to approve the esports program for us. Esports, the electronic sports. You might think of it as computer gaming, but please don't. It's one of the fastest growing activities we have in Oregon and probably in the United States right now. You heard Mr. Watts mention he's going to take students to Bushnell University. They have an esports team at the college level. There are scholarships out there. This is highly competitive. Coos Bay down to the south of us has had a team for a while. Esports is students in a team, our Reed Sports students in a team competing against other schools in games through online platforms. It's such an it's growing so quickly. The OSAA is going to be picking it up this spring and making it one of their activities for varsity level competition. And it is very attractive to a population of our students. Not everybody has wanted to do football, to do trap shooting. Some kids want to play computer games, and this grabs an audience for us. I, as a superintendent, am super supportive of finding the thing that serves each kid, and esports serves a population of our students very well. This now becomes a reason that they'll want to come to school. Then we can start talking about things like, hey, let's fix those grades so you can stay eligible, so you can participate, and it becomes a motivator that will work. When they didn't care about sports before, they'll care about this team perhaps. So I'm going to ask you to add an agenda item to your action to approve an esports team for us. I've already posted for the coach because I believe this board will move that direction. And we have students who want to be ready to compete. We can keep it at the club level, but if we're ever going to compete in the OSAA level and move those students up, then we need to have approval that it's going to be a program at a potential varsity program, and that will require your approval so that the OSAA will allow us to be a member.
So I didn't catch it. Does this require travel for them, or do they get to stay at home?
Right now, it's online, and you meet in online rooms.
Right.
And it's a very limited number of games. It's not hodgepodge. These are very specific. I think there's a half dozen titles that, and in a team might focus on a couple specific ones. They'll practice 4 nights a week, just like another like a football team. They will go and compete at certain times against other schools. There's mechanisms for spectators to watch and to see how things are going. And it is a growing area of interest for a lot of people.
Would this just be at RCCS?
It's high school level at the OSAA, but if it does well. I mean, trap shooting turned into archery programs, and it could be something that grows down. Right now, we have capacity in our computer lab, and we've made some purchases of more machines because we know we have a high interest base in, I think, 20 plus students. And Mr. Watts is gone. Mr. Tipton might have seen some of the interest in kiddos. Brad Adams is interested in coaching. We have a local community member, more on the anonymous side, who's very interested in supporting that program with a donation. It's something I wouldn't have expected 2 or 3 years ago, but I've had to become aware of. And recently it's on our doorstep, and it's very attractive to our students. So I'd like to see you support it. And if it's one more reason to motivate a group of kids to be in our schools and actively participating as student activities, student athletes, then I'm all in.
What's the sport? I mean,
It's computer gaming. It's flying a spaceship and able to see other spaceships in front of you. And
okay.
I mean, if you do computer games, you probably have this great understanding of it. And if you don't do online competitive games, it might look pretty foreign. But I was playing Mario Kart the other day with Charlie at the house, and she's sitting there in her control. I'm sitting there with my control. We're both watching the same TV. She beats me every time, but I'm constantly chasing her in my little car on the screen. So that's just a head-to-head type of gaming. But these are rooms where our 20 kids and other teams, 20, and maybe groups of 4 are competing in a game, and points accumulate and winners are declared.
It's kind of the same a sport and similar to chess. I mean, it's very strategic and it's mental, but it's not a physical sport unless you're doing the virtual games. But yeah.
And then they go on to become programmers.
Yeah, I mean, the UCC has had a gymnastic sports team this year, and I think they started last year. It's grown like crazy.
The sponsor in town, the donor in town, is very active in esports as an adult, and it's a very active community. But you can sit at home and you're online and you're not really out at the basketball court or on the football field. People may not know you're doing it, but the people that you do this with, you're very connected with.
Will they be meeting like in a room at the high school?
At the school, yes, there's we use our computer lab spaces, and we've got a room picked out for them to practice in. There's a lot of, because it's online and you're going to spaces, there's a lot of protections that get set up, a lot of security that gets in place, because we have to be sure that, number one, students are safe, and any kind of online activity has to be protected. We don't want to see piracy and hacking and stuff that I don't know very well, but it's pretty well established. It's something that's just new. We're kind of catching up with this piece, and it's interesting for our students. So I'd like to see us.
This isn't something students would go online at home and do. It would have to be like the high school to do this, or
There, I don't know any of the titles of the games. I apologize, but Mario Kart. I can go home and play Mario Kart, but I can also play in my esports program Mario Kart with my team at that competitive level. The rooms that the team will go to and compete against another school aren't the same rooms that I would do at home necessarily, even though it's the same thing, and I can do both in both places.
well,
I think your pickup basketball game, that you can just versus your competitive.
Here's what I would hope. Once if I posted for a coach, I know I've got a strong applicant, I've got students who are interested. We might need to be able to do a walkthrough of one of their practices one time, just to have a visual of,
that'd be fun to
oh
do
my
that.
gosh, what have we done? But I think you're going to see a lot of very proud students and a lot of very interested students in stuff. And then it turns into, hey, your grades aren't up, go to tutoring before you can come to practice, which I love.
Good.
I'm advertising open office hours. If my mechanism of trying to invite people into group meetings where we'll talk about anything isn't confidential or private enough, now we're trying to advertise, I will go to where you're at, talk on the phone. Charmin is booking specific slots every week where we're holding them for people to access me. Instead of me just constantly being busy, she's holding and reserving time. So maybe the anonymity or the confidentiality or the privacy of a one-on-one is going to be important. So that's a different element for hopefully getting communication received that we're trying. Mr. Shoppy didn't mention it, so I will. We've put in for a TAP grant, a technical assistance program grant, to assess the heating and cooling systems in both buildings. If we get this grant, which I believe we will, we'll be able to have a qualified engineer architect group go through and say, these are your problems. This is what you fix first. Do this, do this, do this, and get a plan. All of that this grant will get us is a plan. Then we have to operationalize it. Talking with Rachel, we've heard now over and over that heating and cooling is a problem. We send in experts and repair people to fix it, and it never gets fixed the right way, and then something else isn't working. Talking with Rachel this afternoon, we're bonded till about 2029, and we're probably not going to be able to get into a new bond on any big investment of a big project until after that point. So anything that we do with a TAP grant assessment is going to require us to probably do it in phases. It's like we're going through and doing our asbestos abatement with a 5-year plan of a little here, a little there, in the 5 years having it all done. I'm guessing we're going to hear that the heating problems, for example, at Highland, start in the kindergarten wing, which is the furthest from the boilers, and work our way towards the boilers, because by the time you turn on the heat in the boiler, it's freezing by the time it reaches kindergarten. So how are we going to solve that heating in that area? This assessment will give us the plan, will give us the specific things we need to do. I think it's going to probably say abandon what you have in the attics. Go for mini splits in each classroom. I don't know. So we'll hear what happens if we get this TAP grant. If we get a TAP grant, we are eligible then to go in for Awesome Bonds, OSCIM. That is matching money that the state has, but to put a bond out on a big project, we're probably not going to be able to do for a while. We may not remain eligible for awesome money. To matching dollars may not exist. Maybe we can get matching dollars if we do a small phase of a project the first year. Then maybe we can talk to groups like the Energy Trust or Oregon Energy Trust and get money from them second, third year of a rollout. So we're going to need to be a little strategic and creative in figuring out how we pay for this, because I know we need something. And maybe if we have a well-designed plan by some experts and this TAP money will pay for that expert assessment, we can figure out a way to make it work. So hopefully we'll get our TAP grant. That's enough for now.
Any questions? I think
How was the open office appointments roll out?
This is our first week. I haven't had anybody call. Actually,
Oh, is that, you're talking about your appointments? Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
that's space. I do have one person who I know is going to be scheduling a meeting.
Have you thought about a ice cream truck? Roving superintendent.
I saw that post today and I thought, that's pretty good. That's, that's great to reach out like that to the public to, or give them an opening.
I'm glad that idea came up. Charmin generated that one also. I don't really, I'm kind of running out of ideas what else to do, what groups to go talk to. I can't beat Facebook right now. And I know there's a group that are still allowed on Facebook, but they're not talking to me. And so as long as that group is out there, I feel that there's some issues that need to be addressed. And I am happy, willing, able to spend time helping them understand what's going on and try to resolve any of the difficulties that they're experiencing or discussing.
Yeah, they just step forward and have the conversation.
I just need to know who they are. And let's
Right.
talk about it.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Cool. Consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda numbers A through D as written.
I have a question on that. This is where you wanted to add this, you
No.
wanted to add this
That's-
Oregon.
Please make it an action item.
Okay, okay. All right, second.
Motion been made, second. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved unanimously. We'll put the esports on the back of action items, and we'll make it action item C. So action item A.
Okay, this is a holdover from our first round of policy, and you guys are dismissed. Okay, I don't need you here anymore. If you're okay with them heading out, we're
Top to top.
we're gonna drag here.
No, you should stay here and grow.
Hey,
Gary, I wanted, actually, I told you something earlier. I talked to the owner of, or one of the owners of Hamilton Construction, they built the Scottsville Bridge. They, Conor O'Connor said he would let it come down, talk to the kids, tell them about those bridges. They're big out there.
Yes, please.
Just Carter call it.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
If he's in Springfield, he'll say, but he could be, goes on.
What's the
Back on. All right. And recess is over, back to the hard work here.
So action item A, you held over policy BDDH, and it's a recommended AR primarily because there was some discussion about how long to allow for community comment. 5 minutes versus 3 was the question. I think we were holding out for Chairman Jones to be able to kind of weigh in. I think one note I would make is if you voted tonight and said we're going to leave it at 3 minutes, board has the ability to change policy. That is one of your primary functions as a board. If it needs to change later, because we have lots of visitors and lots of robust conversation and need, you have that ability. So I might recommend tonight to go with the 3 minutes that's there so we can put this policy down and keep moving. But it's entirely up to you. I think the recommendation was to have it at 3 minutes.
Okay. And then
I'll entertain a motion.
anybody else want to do it? All right. You comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am, yes.
We'll make a motion to approve BDDH as
Second.
proposed. And I guess we don't approve the hours.
JD.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved unanimously.
So on part B, policy holdover CFA, we emailed all the board members Leslie's response from OSBA about how administrators are evaluated, what their standards are. Do you have any questions, or are you comfortable to move forward with that particular policy being deleted?
Anybody got any discussion on that?
I don't this time.
Should we go ahead and approve?
You want a motion?
Yeah, you'll need
Yeah. We'll make a motion to approve,
Delete.
delete CFA, Standards of Performance for Administrators. Approve the rewrite policy.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously.
Okay. Part C, do you want to do the action item you said for esports, or do you want to do that for D? C is the big list.
We do.
Let's do that at the bottom. Let's do it back, keep it cleaner.
Okay.
C.
So C, we have a procedure now for the last couple months. I will read them, ask which, if you want to poll, you've all read through them, done your homework. So I'll start that. So,
Want to just go by the number, or you
yeah,
gonna
I'll
list
start with
the-
number 1, DA fiscal management goals. The recommendation here is to keep. Anybody want to pull that? Nope. Moving on to number 2, DB, district budget, recommended update.
Oh, what was, sorry, to go back to 1, what was is there a recommendation?
Recommendation was to keep.
Keep, sorry. I'm here, I promise.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, DB district budget. Any polls? Recommended is number 3, DBC budget calendar recommended update. Number 4, DBD budget priorities recommended update. Number 5, I'm going to pull and explain DBDB fund balance. I'm not recommending that we adopt this one. Number 6, DBEA.
Poll for clarification, it's a 7 number
Oh, okay.
versus 5.
Yep. No,
Pull on that one. Hold it. Yeah.
Carrie's pulling number 6. Number 7, DBG budget hearing recommended update. Number 8, DBH budget adoption procedures recommended update. Number 9, DBHA ending fund balance. I'm going to pull that. I want to run through that one with you. Number 10, DBI budget amendment recommended update. Number 11, DBJ budget implementations recommended update. Number 12, DBK budget transfer authority version 1 recommended delete. Number 13, DBK budget transfer authority version 2 proposed. Number 14, DC taxing and borrowing authority recommended updates. Number 15, I'm pulling DD grant funding proposals. Anybody else? Number 16, DDB Native American Impact Aid Funds proposed.
That says only needed if district accepts NA funding.
So
we need to talk about it.
we don't accept any Native American funds right now, correct? Yeah.
So what about,
If in the
that's
future-
Native American funds specific to enrollment?
Yeah, based on our population, if we have have students who are from some of the federally recognized tribes, we would be able to receive parts of funding. My input here as a teacher in Eastern Oregon, I was able to observe different years, different schools in our region noticed significant changes in our Native American population depending on year. Some years we would not have any, and some years it felt like we were receiving quite a few students, and being in, I guess, in favor at times would swing our enrollment of students from these tribes. Having the policy on the books allows for a sudden change in there. Not having it would require us to have it if a change ever were to occur. So if our enrollments were suddenly up in Native American students, we would need to address it if we were going to take those monies.
So this is a prophylactic choice to be ready.
Yeah, it's probably a placeholder at this point. That would apply to 16 and 17. So back to number 16, DDB, Native American Impact Aid Funds proposed. Okay. Number 17, DDC, Native American Education Program grants proposed. Number 18, DE/DEB/DEC revenues from private, state, and federal sources proposed. I'm going to pull number 19, DFA investment of funds update. Carrio.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Number 20, DFAA interest allocation recommend delete. I recommend delete. Okay. Number 21, DFB revenues from school-owned real estate recommend delete. 22, DFD rental and service charges recommend delete. 23, DFE gate receipts and admissions recommended updates. 24, DFEA free admissions, recommend update. 25, DFG, income from program-related sales and services, recommended update. 26, DG, depository of funds, recommended update. 27, DGA, authorized signatures, recommended update. 28, DH, loss coverage, recommended updates. Okay. Number 29, DI, fiscal accounting and reporting, recommended updates. Number 30, I'm going to pull DIC, financial reports and statements. Anybody else? Recommended updates, carry O. Number 31, private inventories, recommended update. 32, DIE, audits, recommended update. 33, DJ, district purchasing, recommended update. I'm going to pull 34, DJB, petty cash accounts, recommended update. Anybody else? What's that? 35, DJC, bidding requirements, recommended update. 36, DJCA, personal service contracts, recommended update. DJFA, credit procurement cards, recommended update. I've got that one to pull. There's several clarifications we need to run through there.
37.
37.
You're pulling it.
Pulling it. DJG, vendor relations, recommended update. DK, payment procedures, recommended delete. 40, DL, payroll, recommended update. 41, DLB, salary deductions, recommended update. 42, DLC, travel expense, version 1, recommend delete. 43, expense reimbursements, version 2, recommended proposed. I've got a few pieces on there to pull for you.
43.
43, John. 44, DM, cash and district buildings, recommended update. 45, DN, disposal of district property, recommended update. And 46, DO, solicitation, recommended delete. So the first one I've got, Eric, is number 5.
You're not pulling it in.
Yeah, number 5.
I think you and I talked, and I don't think I am.
Just didn't say anything after we talked, right?
Yeah, I didn't change anything.
Oh, 5 and 6, we held 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John wanted to look at 5 fund balance.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Number 44 also needs pull DM. Good catch, Rachel. There's pieces in there. Okay, number 5, DBDB.
You said number 4, didn't you?
No,
You're gonna do
he's
2.
a
44.
Oh, 40.
Yeah,
44.
sorry, yeah.
You're gonna pull what you said?
Number 44 is a whole, yeah.
Sorry. Big book of. Number 44, I'm saying no. We have a small enough budget where a big enough project can cause a fluctuation in imbalances. And if we're trying to set policies that maintain particular minimums, if it's not necessary, I would discourage us from doing that. Right now, we've done well with our balances, our budgets. I don't see problems. But I know when times are difficult and budgets are tight and we're working hard, big expenditures cause swings. And if we're trying to maintain percentages of stuff, I just don't, this policy is not required. I don't recommend we put something in that locks us into a pattern because we know stuff happens.
Which one are we talking about?
EBDB fund balance,
Okay.
number 5.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about cash and buildings.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought too.
No,
Sorry, at the top and then number 5.
okay, so
Okay.
fund balance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's proposed, it's not required. I don't recommend that we add it.
Unrestricted fund balance.
So you want to take that one?
Yeah,
off?
it's proposed. I recommend that we do not adopt that.
So we don't have anything that we're updating or.
There,
Okay.
you would have to take it off the action item and because you're not doing anything with it. It doesn't require a no vote because it doesn't exist right now. You just would be
So we're
removing
gonna-
it from the action. We'd be
Okay.
removing it as an item. It doesn't exist. Don't do anything with it. I'm not recommending it. Are we good on
Can we,
5?
can we,
But
do we need to make a
but
motion for
OSBA
it?
is proposing it, right?
They're asking us if we want to.
Right, okay.
And I don't know that we want to be locking ourselves any more than is required on something that's optional.
Do we need to take a motion?
I think you just pull it from
You
the,
just
pull it from the list of
okay, so we
action
don't-
items and take no action. It's proposed, we don't have it,
Okay.
do anything with it. Number 6, Carrie O and I pulled, that's DBEA.
Yeah, my concern was just it's still worded as a 7-member.
Yes.
Correct, yeah. Where it talks about 7 board members, we need that language to be 5. Where it talks about majority of the budget committee, it should be 10 members.
So we need to list
And
6.
in 6 would be the majority of that. So
Okay. Is that why you were pulling it?
yeah,
Okay.
is that the same stuff you were pulling?
Yep.
So with the corrections of a 5-person board, 5 electors, 10-member budget committee, and 6 being the majority, that would be how I would recommend that policy moving forward.
I do not remember that we talked about term of 3 years when we did it this last year.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
We have people who quit on us after the first year, and so we would like them to be consistent for 3.
Okay,
But I don't know that we've been so lucky.
okay. We want to change language around that
Well,
or?
so, or do you want to bring it back next meeting and, after it's been revised then?
I think the language that needs to be corrected is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
It's just, we are a 5-person board. We just need to adjust to that.
So when we did when we did BBB, which was
Yes, we
you were
corrected it
able to
there.
do that right away. You corrected it here and it was approved and
We-
moved through.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had the discussion here. We made the corrections. So when we took action on it, it
Okay,
was with correction.
we can take action on the 5, 10, 6 numbers to replace the,
So yeah, the first sentence, it says 5 members and 5 should say 5 members and 5 electors instead of 7. Down in the second paragraph, majority should be 10-member budget committee, where is 6, and if 6 members are present, a unanimous vote.
But it's not actually restated in the policy right now, in writing. So how can we take a motion on it if it's not?
We're directing what the change is, and when you
But are the change, but we're not sure that the changes are gonna get done though either. So until they're in writing.
what you want to see it corrected.
Yes, I would like to see it corrected.
So bring
Before I vote
corrected.
on it.
Bring corrected. So you'll pull 6 when you vote, and we will hold it for a second reading.
Correct.
Okay, we can do that. Anything else, Carrie O, on number 6?
the AR, do you have,
You
I mean,
don't-
I know you don't have to deal with that, but what's I mean, I don't. You
Um,
had a,
I'm gonna
it's an
delete it. We don't
application?
need it.
okay,
We have a hard enough time getting people.
Yeah.
Usually it's, do you want to? Yes, that's the application.
But that will come back into next meeting, right, also?
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna
That's
delete,
part of our number 6, so.
I'm gonna delete the AR regardless
You don't
of the
have to vote
corrections,
on the AR.
because we don't need the AR. And AR is my responsibility, but we do the second reading on policy DBEA, and you'll see the changes that we're discussing.
So this is a policy we have on hand right now, right? So, but if you're gonna delete an ARs, that's gotta be a board decision, doesn't it?
No,
You voted on it?
not the ARs. ARs are administrative rule. Yeah. Yes, I can't delete a policy. That's you guys, but the ARs under policy, I modify, I update, and that's part of the superintendent's role is to keep because a change in the law could take time for a board to meet to act on, whereas an administrator may need to adjust the AR immediately based on a law change. So that's ours.
Good.
I think we're down to number 15.
No, 9.
9. DBHA.
Who pulled 9?
John.
Number 9, paragraph that starts out consequently the board directs. It's the second or first full paragraph. Beginning with the line 1% of the 5%. Rachel recommends we strike all that language, not necessary. So in the paragraph, consequently, the board directs the business manager superintendent to manage the general fund's adopted budget in such a way to plan for ending fund cash balance of at least 5% of total adopted revenues, period, end paragraph. We don't need anything after it. And so
Okay.
the recommendation is,
Do that one again. Sorry.
okay, so the paragraph, consequently, the board directs, you can find it, beginning with 1% of the 5%, the rest of that is stricken.
So after balance of at least 5% total adopted revenues, 1% of the 5% will be held.
1% starts the strike.
Okay, so from 1% all the way down through the end.
All the way down through contingency fund. It's
Okay, just that
last sentence.
sentence in there.
Yep.
Okay, so when I hand it to my,
Recommend strike, otherwise it's fine.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah. You're gonna see. You want to see that, taken out.
So I'm recommending that change on number 9.
So that'll come back to the next meeting for
You
approval.
want a second on that one? Okay, so number 9 gets a second reading. And update, change. Anybody else on number 9? See, so now number 15, DB.
my, oh wait.
I'm not there yet, sorry. D. Oh, so there's one of each, version 1, version 2.
DB.
You got a
Oh, that's
question on it?
version, no, I didn't have a question, just which is recommended. Second one.
Version 1 is the recommendation and version 2 is no. So if you take that, you would say,
Yes, on version 1.
move to approve number 15, version 1.
So you can move quickly without board approval for grant.
Yeah, if you guys become the linchpin and you only meet once a month, stuff might slip past us. You should know what's going on. You should be reported. You've got a pretty good financial system set up, and I think awareness is high. But I think it's best to let your administrators move.
Does anybody want to hold for a second reading?
Well, that one there, we don't, it's not really changing any verbiage, it's just we're agreeing on
Which one do you want?
which version we want. So we could do that one tonight without,
Okay.
we'll have to put that at kind of a separate line item though.
I would agree, just to clarify it, version 1.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Any questions on those 16, 17?
No.
Didn't have 18. Number 19, Carrie, you asked for DFA.
Yeah, mine is just under the authority section. There's a delegates to the brackets are empty.
Yep.
Just in the second recommended
Trying not to
paragraph.
rip my pages here, attorney. Delegates to the superintendent or designee
Okay, so that would say superintendent,
under authority.
same kind of deal.
Yep.
You wanna-
Yeah, because I don't want to vote on them.
Okay.
So, and right.
You
Second
want super-
reading with
So
the-
second reading of
with the-
DFA. And, Soup. We're good on 20 being a delete.
And that's super in both spots, I'm sorry, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's superintendent or designee, and so a lot of this stuff goes straight to Rachel or whoever the budget manager is.
Right.
And the acronyms too, and that, you're gonna spell that out at least once.
LGIP.
I think the LGI one is already back here in the back,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
GSA or the GSE is not.
Government sponsored enterprise,
Yeah.
agency security, it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of,
You will, won't you?
you want to spell it out?
Yes, at least one time.
According to the Chicago Manual of Style.
Saying
Well, I was gonna do it for,
Out.
one of them.
All right, spell acronyms out on number 19. Anybody else on 19 questions? 20 DFAA, we caught, it's recommended delete. 30, Carrio, EIC.
May versus will.
Yeah, I mean, catch there, because I've got H. The board may is my recommendation and business manager is my recommendation.
And we'll,
Regarding the board.
we'll change that for,
So you want a second reading? Okay. That's
per
report
the
segments.
vice chair's request. Since we should honor
Second
that.
updates, okay. They will, are we good on 30?
Was that the only thing you had?
Yep.
Okay.
The may and the will and the business manager. 34, DJB,
That wasn't me.
me, petty cash. So we need to select there. Petty cash will be established annually in the amount sufficient for each school. 50 is probably the right number, but when there's times and we need to, at the start of the school year, we shouldn't have to wait for the board meeting to make a change. So I think the word sufficient fits better for our actual need. We don't want to be so locked in that we can't operate at the start of the school year when we have a need for something. So
Are there things you anticipate?
I don't.
And just-
Probably start a year we're collecting fees and a lot of movement of
It's just
money
cash
early
flow,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. Having some of that for purposes.
So is that
Generally, we don't
changed
want-
out and accounted for example, if it's drawn from, it's accounted for and it's returned to its balance every day, or how does that work?
There are other policies that say we're not supposed to keep significant funds, lump sum money. We're supposed to
Right.
be depositing them. So if we know we're going to need some petty cash available, it's
Okay.
usually a planned activity.
The petty cash is part of the audit work too. There's actually a line item in our audit document that shows the petty cash changes annually. Required to have the documents for that starting and ending and what the transactions are in between to account for that beginning and ending.
So you're comfortable with sufficient
Yeah,
versus an
for
actual
sure.
dollar amount?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the year, like you said,
So
fees
who-
collection, you need like $300 or $400 to have adequate change, because everybody brings in a 20 or a 50 or 100, you know,
So who determines sufficient
the office managers.
with a backup to, who would be backing that up, looking at it?
That would be me. So if I'm noticing their petty cash starting out pretty large, then I would I would be making note of it to administration.
What's pretty large,
To me, anything over $500 is not necessary.
right?
And if they're holding that petty cash all year long, that's also not necessary.
And policy later doesn't allow them to keep large sums, but having a surplus sale, having started school year, there's going to be times when that petty cash needs to be there, but there's also accountability. We sold these items, we had this many registrations, and there should be some paperwork that backs up the numbers.
So the holder reports directly to you?
I monitor all of the student body accounts, the petty cash, and any of the other depositories that come in.
Okay.
So, because I reconcile all the bank statements every month, so I know what's happening with the cash flow. And yeah, I don't have any qualms with the processes that are in place.
I'm cool with sufficient as long as there's some accountability behind it, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to vote on it tonight?
Yeah, I want to see that in writing.
See it down, second reading, okay?
Yep.
Are we good going to 37? DJFA?
Yeah.
Yep.
J.
Is that the credit card amounts for
Yes, there's
administrators?
lots of them here. So I think the language procurement is more accurate for us because an EBT, a bank card, a gift card. So not using the word credit, but using the word procurement. And so there's multiple places where that would be in effect. Down in number 2, it highlights it. There's a blank with the money amount. We talked about $200. The people listed above in the first paragraph, HES principal, RCCS principal, superintendent, SPED director, have max limits established for each of them in paragraph 1. The ability to use a credit card on up to $200 without authorization. We know which people they are. Their names are tied to the card they use. It's very trackable. So having that amount of money should not be a problem. It should be easily accounted for. So I would like to see $200 in there. So when we come to a second reading, unless you direct otherwise, that's what you'll see.
No, that's fine.
And
Anything over $200, and that takes a
prior approval. And that could be a phone call. Hey, John, a hotel room's $249.
No, because they need to have that little bit of latitude. Yeah, I think. Because you don't want to be inundated for just petty little things. I mean, I'm serious.
No, and if they have an approved purchase order, that's prior approval also. So
Right.
most of the time they should.
It's a purchase order.
Right. But then there's stuff that comes up, emergency stuff that comes up that might be something little that you need a fitting for or something like that.
So we'll do a second reading. I'll throw procurement in all the places and $200 then. Second. We're ready for 43.
That's you?
Yep. Making sure we're good to go. DLC. I wrote it here, recommend yes. I get maybe I put on the wrong line. Why did I write yes here? I mean, obviously. Oh,
That's the proposed version.
yeah, DLC, yeah, deleting the version 1 and recommending version 2. There's no changes that I need to note, just I'm recommending that we take the proposal, approximating amount. Sorry.
No, that's good.
No, that's fine.
That's how we have it as delete versus propose, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all good.
I might have, maybe I meant to put a name on 44 when I did my notes
Oh.
before the meeting. I did
Gotcha.
on 43. Because we need to talk about DM. So number 44, DM, cash in buildings. Okay. First paragraph, it has a cash in district buildings.
Oh.
Ready?
Mhm.
It's got a bracket of $25. I think it should be 50. And the accumulated cash maintained in school buildings overnight may not exceed. I want $1,500 in there because once in a while we have a football game on a Friday night that will hit that amount and we can't get it in until any faster than Monday morning. we don't want them storing money, but when Sherry Wall has to go hide it in her office or in the safe on Friday night, that's what it is. So I'd like to see $50 in the first bracket and $1,500 in the empty bracket. And I'll bring that as a second reading, of course, unless there's discussion about those numbers.
So what's the number to that safe?
What's the number?
Still screaming where she hides the money.
Yeah,
Actually, the superintendent's not allowed to know,
I don't have a code.
combinations to safe because they're the custodian of funds.
Now, the second part that's not highlighted, the or, that'll all be stricken.
Okay.
So it's just the top part. So that's a second reading on 44. Any other review on any other ones before we go back to letting Eric take the action of the statements?
Do we want to add D?
Not yet.
No.
B is East.
Oh,
That's a
you
sep-
wanna,
that's a
you wanna
separate-
go through and do all of these?
Yes. Because that will be a separate.
And Eric, I'm gonna recommend small blocks of a couple at a time, and if there's a stop, we can skip them.
I like a good idea.
Okay.
So I mean, we got 46 of them.
It's like
Do
1 through
like
4,
The first four?
or 1 through 5 is the first block.
Yeah, let's do 5 at a time, I guess. Well,
Or we could do the first four and then jump to the six and not
Yeah.
even mention the
I
fifth.
would suggest 1 through 5 first, yeah.
But wouldn't
then-
we just not mention five? Just not take action on it?
Oh, correct, sorry.
Yeah.
I understand the question. Thank
Okay,
you. 1
sorry.
through 4.
And then going back to the five.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept C numbers 1 through 4 as proposed for keeping DA number 1. And the rest are updated.
Second.
motion been made, second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Approved.
So now I would recommend number 7 and 8.
7 and 8, we're gonna approve numbers 7 and 8, DVG and DVH as recommended to update.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved.
I would recommend number 10 through 18 now.
No. 10 through 14.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, 10 through 14.
Because we had, we wanted to do version 1.
Okay, yeah, you don't want to call that one out specific. So 10 through,
I'll make a motion to accept numbers 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 as proposed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved.
Yep, Jack, you were the second.
Yeah.
Okay. 4 unanimous. So now number 15.
So let's do 15 as a separate deal. Because it's not getting pulled, it's just, tell them what version we want.
Do we want to do it, just do it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion that 15 DD, we accept version number 1, grant funding proposals and applications.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. We'll do 16 through 18.
Anybody else? I'll just keep going.
You're doing good.
16 through,
You're on a roll.
make a motion that we accept 16 through 18
Second.
as recommended.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. And so 20, we are deleting.
Yeah, 20, 21, and 22, all 3 of them are deleted.
Oh. Delete. So I'll make a motion that we accept recommendations for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. We're going to delete 20, 21, and 22,
Sorry.
correct? Does that
Second.
work?
That, yeah, you did it right.
Okay, you're okay with that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Make a recommendation that we accept as recommended numbers 26, 27, 28, and 29.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Approved.
Did you get that one, Jack?
Yeah, he raised it.
No. Oh, I didn't see. Sorry.
We'll do 31 through 33.
I'll make a motion to accept numbers 31, 32, 33 as recommended. Those are all updates.
Second that one.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. 35 through 36.
Make a motion to accept 35 and 36 as recommended.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. We'll do 38 through 42.
41. Oh,
To 42.
we're accepting the delete. We could go to, oh, you're right. I'll make a motion to approve 37, 38, 39, 40, 41.
No, not 37.
38 through 42.
Oh, sorry. I just drew my line in the wrong place. Sorry about that. I'm going to amend that motion to accept 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42 as recommended.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. And then 43 was taken version 2. So we'll just do that one separately.
So we're gonna, sorry.
So for number 43, I make motion to accept version 2.
With 43, I'll make a motion to accept DLC version 2.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved. And then we'll do 45 through 46.
Make a motion to accept 45 and 46.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Approved.
You guys should get pretty good at that.
What do you want?
Yep, that's.
Okay. And you'll have copies of those. Can you reprint copies or get those to us this, so we can review those before the next?
The second
The
ones,
ones that are pulled in the.
you'll get those in chapter E.
Oh, right.
Right.
When will we get to eat?
Chapter E is ready. It's in the book. So, how about we set the goal of giving it to you Saturday, the 18th, when you meet with Vince? So you pick up your hard copy then. We'll all be here anyway.
Yep.
Okay. That gives us a few days to exhale and put it together.
Okay, so we had action item D to approve esports that we made a motion on.
Make a motion that we approve the esports program as recommended. Do I need to give it a number, like a D?
Yeah, just esports program for the high school.
Yep, I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt the esports program for the high school as, is it high school and
It's
Junior?
right now it's just high school and its potential OSA activity.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that we make a motion to adopt the esports program for the RCCS building as recommended by the superintendent.
Perfect.
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Perfect. Unanimous.
As long as there's no zombie. Did
I know all the titles, but I'm sure you don't care.
I'm gonna go,
Do we have any community comments or?
well,
What are you doing?
so discussions,
Oh.
February 1st, we have an OSBA school board elections. March 16th, OSBA school board elections filing deadline. And then March 10th, OSBA school board elections, voter pamphlet submission. May 16th, OSBA school board elections, election day.
I'd like to add your date of February 18th at 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll meet here for work session with Vince Adams. That's February 18, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Saturday, the 18th, yes.
Yeah, you gotta have it on the calendar.
Okay. And also, if anybody is interested in running for a school board position, we have information available here at the office. We also have packets for all of you, all 4 of you to refile, and 5 counting Mr. Jones.
Do you,
I already put an email in the Charlotte stuff. It's stricken my name from the ledger.
rude. John, that goes to the Douglas County office, or just?
Douglas County Elections Commission, yeah.
All right, so, I would like to see the community comments not put on the back end of the agenda. I'd like to see it put on the front end of the agenda. We didn't have one on the front end of the agenda.
It was on the first page.
Yeah, it was there.
On the phone was covering me up. Imagine that. I thought we were gonna only put one on there.
Right now, policy says it's at the beginning and the end.
Copy. Any community comments?
Any written
Is that,
comments or?
That's usually, that's me. Okay, so
in your
any
board,
board member comments?
Eric, your comment about having Vince work in the superintendent evaluation process.
Yes. Yes, we need to get started on our superintendent evaluation stuff, so we'll have Vince kind of go over with us.
Oh, you got them right there?
I'll bring these to the Vince training unless you want to look at them in advance.
That's fine. We got plenty of time. Maybe 18th.
We do. But it's something we gotta get going on.
Yeah.
I was hoping Mr. Jones would take this, lead this year. Anyways, so I want to do future agendas, and that way I can just come out of executive session and adjourn. Future agendas, March 8th is a district monthly board meeting. April 3rd is classified and certified employee appreciation week, 3rd to the 6th, sorry. April 12th, the Shreveport School District monthly board meeting. So at this time, we're gonna open up into executive session ORS 192.610 and ORS 192.660.
Okay, so
Waiting for the camera to go off.
we'll need,
Yeah, these two gotta leave.